1,500? Hey folks, it's Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. And yes, we are on the precipice of 1,500 subscribers, which is really kind of amazing. I didn't think we would be here maybe at all, and I certainly didn't think we would be here this closely after I just hit 1,000 a few months ago.
I know most of you are saying, hey, any idiot could do that. Well, it was tough for me, so back off!
That being said, there's still a lot of room to grow. I've got a lot of things to talk about. I'm not running out of things to share with y'all.
The last thing I want to be remembered as is an annoying blabbermouth.
And today, I thought as a way of kind of celebrating 1,500, I would record a solo playthrough of the Marvel Multiverse RPG.
It is so choice. If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
I'm also going to share with you what I use when I'm at the table to play the Marvel Multiverse RPG, kind of my kit, and we will get into the adventures of the Dark Claw. So, with that being said, let's get into it.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
And here is my kit for my Marvel Multiverse RPG solo play. So I'm going to be using the Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd Edition because that is my favorite emulator. I think that it offers the simplest yet most robust toolkit that I've been able to find in an emulator. It's tried and true, and I'm used to it and I'm familiar with it. I also printed out the core mechanics and the combat section from the Marvel Multiverse RPG. Because I have the digital copy, I was able to put that into a format where it only took up 5 pages of paper front and back, and so I can quickly reference it rather than going through a 300-page book every time. I've got my character sheet for the Dark Claw, which I did a previous video on. If you haven't checked that out yet, be sure to do so. And then lastly, I have a new tool that I've generated. This is the Books, Bricks, and Boards Marvel Multiverse RPG Missions Table. This is unofficial. This is purely for my own use. But if you would like to gain some inspiration from this, I think this is a pretty solid way of doing this. And basically I can use this to create an inciting mission point to get the story going. And this is a standard die drop table. You take your handful of each of the different types of polyhedrals and you drop it, and that determines what kind of a situation you've got going. Now, some of these will take some context, and you'll have to base it upon the hero that you are going to be playing, or heroes. Particularly for the D8 table, that could be very different based on the hero you're running. So I'm using a rank 4 hero. I wanted to use rank 3 and 4 villains. If I get a rank 3, then I'll probably throw in a few extra minor villains. So a rank 3 villain and 4 rank 1 villains should be an even fight for a rank 4 hero. So that gives us some options. So I kind of just went through the Marvel Multiverse RPG book, looked at all of the rank 3 and 4 villains, kind of determined which ones would be a more natural fit to be opposition for the Dark Claw, and then I made a table out of it. You can do the same quite easily. I also have sections for the type of mission that I'm going to be doing, if there is an opposition faction that might be involved in some way. Of course, the villains are the D8. A primary location, kind of give me an idea of how to start it, which may spark some more ideas of what's exactly going on. What the benefit to the hero would be for performing this mission. And then lastly, what kind of extra problems does the hero have going on? And this last D20 table is a copy from my campaign Spark tool that I'd created before. And this is just a way to create a little bit of extra story flavor for the adventure. So I'm going to go ahead and roll on my Marvel Multiverse RPG missions table. And we're going to go through the list. So I've got attack as my D4 result. And then I've got aim as the opposition force. And I've got crossbones as the villain. And I have got in the sewers as the primary. Oh, you know what? Actually, I rolled 2 D10s. So I rolled a 5 and an 8. So there's a rural location and there's sewers. So I'm going to try to incorporate both of those since I messed up and rolled 2 of them. And then I got a 12. By completing this mission, I'm going to gain a new ally. And then for my D20, I got a 12 as well, which means I'm going to be ill-equipped to do what I need to do to complete this mission. Okay, so here I had 5 minutes of video where I went over the process of transferring information over to character sheets to make things easier, taking heroes and villains from the rulebook that you know you're going to encounter and putting those onto a regular character sheet so you have all the information that you need. I also talk about how I set up my threads and my character lists, and basically I just went by my mission generator tool that I created and then what I expected to see in the adventure to come up with the threads and character lists, which come with the Mythic Emulator 2nd edition. Unfortunately, apparently my mic was not working at that point in time, so due to technical difficulties, you're getting a voiceover instead of the audio that was actually recorded during the video. That being said, you can just assume that everything here was amazing and that I said some really insightful things.
Right.
So let's go ahead and just set up the inciting event, that first scene, using the Mythic Emulator. So for that, I'm going to roll once on the threads list, once on the characters list to see what thread this involves and what character it involves potentially. And I got a 10 on the thread, which is a random event. And I got a 3. So something random that has to deal with aim. So let's just go ahead and roll an action on action 1 and a descriptor on descriptor 1. This is from the Mythic Emulator. So 63 on action 1 is neglect. And descriptor 36. Neglect, fortunately. So I think what that means is that while Darkclaw is still somewhat unaware of how he wound up in Earth 616, I think that he stumbled across some AIM agents that were working on their nefarious plan. Now remember, AIM is the kind of scientific wing of Hydra. And I think looking at my threads list, I came up with rural and sewers. And, you know, it kind of makes me think cave. And maybe what happened was Darkclaw was actually in his amalgam universe and in a part of the Claw Cave, whatever he calls his base. Can't remember off the top of my head. And he actually went through whatever wormhole or portal got him to Earth 616 and stumbled right into the middle of these neglectful AIM agents. And so they are unaware of his presence. And Darklaw is not completely aware of where he's at or what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that up as the first scene. And I'm going to call that Secret AIM Lab. And I am going to go ahead and use Darklaw's stealth to try to sneak into a better position to be able to do a little bit of reconnaissance here. Okay, so I got a 9, but he has sneaky as a trait, so I'm going to re-roll the 1. I got a 2. All right. So I got a 10 plus 2 is a 12. And that is going to be against the vigilance score of the AIM agents. And the vigilance defense is an 11. So he was successful sneaking to a better spot. So I'm going to say, since he sneaked to a better spot, he is going to be in an excellent position to get the best information while doing his reconnaissance. And then on top of that, he's got heightened senses. So he normally would have an edge. He's going to get 2 edges, because in this system, you can have multiple edges, multiple troubles, and be able to re-roll multiple dice. So we're going to go ahead and roll there. Oh, almost the ultimate roll there. So I've got a 6, and a 6, and a 2. I can re-roll it one more time because I got 2 edges, and a 3. All right, so we got a 15. And I'm going to use my vigilance because I'm trying to use my senses to pick up on what the AIM agents are up to in their laboratory, their secret laboratory, which is, I'm going to say it's underground, kind of like a sewer, and it's rural. So, so this is top secret AIM stuff here. And we're going to go ahead and roll on the elements table to find out maybe what they are up to here. So we're going to roll action, which was a 68. Praise. Descriptor. Praise 47. Hastily. Okay, so I think they're doing something in a hurry to meet the expectations of someone they're trying to impress. And perhaps this is Red Skull's favorite assassin, Crossbones, because we know Crossbones is going to be a part of this. And so as I'm kind of watching what they're preparing, I don't know exactly what it is, but I know they're in a hurry to get it done. And I know that this guy Crossbones is involved. And I don't know anything about him yet, but I know he works for the Red Skull. And so I think with that information being gained, Darklaw is going to try to sneak his way out of this facility before he presses his luck too much. And so with that, remember I had an edge there because he's sneaky. Got a 12 plus 2, 14. Again, that beats their vigilance score. So Darklaw is able to sneak out of the laboratory, make his way out. I think he's going to have to use his logic score to try to figure out an escape plan here, since he's not familiar with this cave. And of course, he is great there. He got a 14 plus his logic of 3 is 17. So no problems. He definitely was able to find his way out. And I'm going to say that Darklaw has been to 616 before, and as he sees the skyline of New York instead of New Gotham, he's kind of putting 2 and 2 together, the world's greatest detective after all, and he's figured out that he's not in Gotham anymore. So I took some quick notes, and just wrote down that he found the secret cavern facility of AIM working on something hastily to meet the expectations of Crossbones. Now, since I was clearly in control of this scene, we're going to lower the chaos factor by 1 for this next scene that's going to come up. Now, something I did not do on the first scene was test the scene to see if it would be altered or interrupted. I don't like to test the first scene of an adventure, so we're going to do that on this one. I'm going to roll a d10. I'm going to compare it to the current chaos factor. If it is less than that, then it is going to be either an altered or interrupted scene. So it is not less than, it is equal to. And I stand corrected. It's hard to see because of the lighting in here, but actually it is equal to or less than the chaos factor that causes a scene to be either altered or interrupted. Since my roll was a 4, it is equal to the chaos factor and it is even, so I have an interrupted scene. So I need to generate a random event. So I am going to go to the elements table. I'm going to go to action 2 and 44, illusion, and 49, which was helpfully, a helpful illusion. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I can say that the scene I expected there to be was going to be a trip back to New York City to try to get my bearings and maybe get some resources. So we are going to say that this illusion is going to entail perhaps when I'm leaving the facility, I notice that there is a facade of some sort to keep the AIM facility hidden from would-be passers-by. And so let's go ahead and roll on the location to see what that is. We're going to do location and descriptor. So we'll do location first. 95. It's an unusual 58. Lazily. Okay. So maybe what this is it's so overt it's covert. Maybe this is just an old abandoned mine. I think we're going to go with that. So there's a big sign out front that points out that this abandoned mine is dangerous and to stay clear of it. And so, and then I would guess, because of that, there might be some potential guards milling about, acting as if they were maybe local authorities to try to keep any would-be explorers out of the area. So I'm going to use the fate table for that. I'm going to ask a question. So we're going to go back to my fate table, and I'm going to say that I think it's very likely that maybe they have some sort of a patrol that's posing as local police. So the current chaos factor is 4, so I'm going to be on this line here. And 88. Oh, it's doubles. If it was a fake question, and it is a fake question, so doubles is going to be a random event too. But very likely, 88. That actually, it's not. There are not going to be any sort of patrol here, but I got a random event. So let's see what the random event focus is. 21, NPC action. So there is an NPC action of some sort. And I'm going to go ahead and roll on my characters list. And I got a 9, another random event. We're going to re-roll that because I don't want to have a random event on a random event. So let's do that again. And I got another 9. They really want me to have a random event here. Let's roll one more time. A third 9 in a row. Okay, so let's roll a second time on the random event focus table. It'll be an NPC action plus whatever this other roll is. 65. Move away from a thread. Okay. 4. What is AIM up to? We're moving away from what AIM is up to. So there's something confusing about this because they don't have any patrols protecting this. I know they were moving hastily to get this done. Maybe they're actually evacuating this facility because they've completed the task already. Let's go ahead and roll on the character list again and see if we can figure out who's involved. 5. AIM, absolutely. So I thought that I was going to have some time to potentially come up with a solution to what they were up to, but I think AIM is evacuating now. They're evacuating the area, and as a result, maybe I can figure out what it is that they had completed by laying low. So let's go ahead and do another stealth roll. And I got an 11 plus 2 is a 13, which is good enough to be successful. So I'm going to stick with that. So I am watching as AIM is leaving this area. Let's roll. Let's do action 2. 65. Outside. Yep, they're moving stuff outside. And let's see what they're moving. Objects. 92. Oh, I'm sorry, 29. Equipment. They're moving equipment. Let's do a descriptor to find out what kind of equipment that is. 05. Beautiful equipment. So beautiful is in the eye of the beholder, and Darkclaw, being a military man, I think he would see some sort of great weaponry as being beautiful. And so I think under the cover of maybe some heavy equipment trucks, they are moving out crates of weaponry, and perhaps they are mass-produced weapons to outfit an army for a very near incident. So I'm going to do a vigilance check with Batman, or Darkclaw, sorry, and he is he's a detective, so he's got investigation skills, but he is going to try to get a look and see if he can figure out what this stuff is. 14 plus his vigilance is a 4. That's an 18, so that's going to be a quite a good result here. So let's go ahead and look through some of my different tables. Let's roll on the objects one more time. See if it gives the same wear insight. 92. No, 29 again. Sorry. Oh my goodness. I think I got the same thing. No, I didn't. Excited. Excited. No. Sorry. I was on the wrong table. 29 was equipment. So, yeah, they're moving out this equipment that appears to be weaponry, and they're hastily trying to get back to Crossbones. So this is probably some sort of a campaign that the Red Skull is behind, because he uses Crossbones. but typically wouldn't use Crossbones in like a leadership capacity, so that's kind of unusual, but the Darklaw wouldn't know this. So I think we're going to go ahead and exit this scene, and we are going to try to go into town, which was what we tried to do last time, but our scene was interrupted. And we're going to try to do some investigatory research. Okay, so at the end of that scene, we move further away from what is AIM up to, but I still think it's a valid thread, so I'm not going to get rid of it. And then we kind of know some rural and sewers stuff, but we're going to leave that on there as well. I lowered the chaos factor to a 3 because Darklaw was still in control of the scene, even though it wasn't what he expected. He was quite stealthy and not discovered. So we're going to try to head back to New York City and see if we can gather some information to try to figure out what's going on and how we can stop this from happening. So I'm going to roll to test the scene to see if there's any interrupts or altered scenes. There is not. That's above the chaos factor. So we're going to New York to do some investigation. And the Darklaw has, he has contacts police, which he's in a different universe, but he would still know how the police operate, so he might be able to use that to his advantage. And then he also has investigation skills. So the Darklaw is going to try to do as much research as he can on Crossbones and on AIM. And so I'm going to roll an investigations check using local libraries and such to see if I can find anything out. And I'm going to go ahead and re-roll this one as I have an edge from my investigation ability. And so I got a 12 plus a 3 for my logic is a 15, which is going to be good enough. So an average roll is, the average difficulty roll rather, for this game is going to be 10 plus your rank. So 14 would be an average difficulty for a rank 4 character. But he's going to find out quite a bit about Crossbones. Crossbones actually has a public identity, so he's not too hard to find some information about. And he'll find out about what's going on with AIM, and as far as what they are, what kind of an organization they are. And so I'm going to update my adventure journal here. And then I think I'm going to, while I'm in New York, I'm going to try, not dressed up as the Darklaw, obviously. I'm going to stash my my costume somewhere and procure some clothing, which I think that Darklaw would be resourceful enough to do. Not going to even bother rolling for that. You could if you wanted to. And I'm going to try to pass myself as a private detective looking for information and try to work the angle of knowing the ins and outs of what it is to be a police officer in the city, and trying to work the angle of getting some information about the goings-on up north of town by the old mine. And so I got, after I re-rolled for my edge, I got a 16 plus 3 for my logic. So I got a 19. Yeah, I definitely was able to get some information from my connections in the police department. And so what did the police tell me about this situation? Do they even know anything about it? You know what? That's the first thing to ask. Did the police know anything was going on here? I think it's likely. So 3 Well, that didn't go through, so we'll re-roll it. 42. So likely 42. So yeah. So it actually, wow. They did not know. They didn't know. So it's interesting. The chaos factor really does affect those odds quite a bit. So as you go down the chaos factor, it becomes less likely that you say yes to things. So, so the police are kind of clueless. Do the police, are they aware of any activity with crossbones, maybe? Let's see that. I think that's probably likely, maybe. And it's a 46. Again, no, they're completely clueless. Get out of here, dude. So I guess that kind of leaves us with trying to figure out on our own where to go from here. Okay, so end of that last scene, that third scene, I would say I was out of control because I kept getting no's on my fate questions. So I raised the chaos factor to a 4. I don't think we eliminated any characters or any threads. So I left that the same. We didn't add any either. I guess perhaps, you know what? I'm going to add one. I'm going to remove random event from the character list, and I'm going to add police because I've had some interactions with them now. Maybe that could come up again. And so I guess it's up to me. I'm going to try to procure a vehicle and then try to head towards the direction that it seemed like the construction trucks were headed, and using my knowledge that I picked up from my research and see if I can figure out what is going on there. So my expected scene is tracking AIM. Let's test the scene. So I got a 10. So a 10 means that the scene is not altered or interrupted. So I am indeed tracking AIM. And we're going to say Darkclaw is a rank 4 hero. He is able to definitely procure a vehicle, possibly through illegal means. And I'm going to roll action and descriptor just to see what's going on in the scene. 02, adversity, and descriptor 22, dry. Okay, dry adversity. I think I know what this means. I think that all of my questions and my repeat questions about AIM and about the mine up north and my searching at the local library, I think Crossbones is actually watching.
I've been waiting for this!
And I think that the dry adversity that I come across is that he is going to disable my vehicle as I'm trying to track down the AIM convoy. And so I think I find myself in a hail of bullets that disables my vehicle, and it causes me to have to make a dive out of the car that I've procured. I'm going to make an agility check for that. Okay, so I don't have any traits that would help with that. So I got a 10 plus a 2 is a 12. So that is less than an average roll for a character of my rank, and there is no like standard difficulty for this particular action because it's not actually Crossbones attacking me, so I'm not going against one of his defenses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some damage. And so I'm going to say that Crossbones' multiplier is a 3 because he's a rank 3. So I'm going to take 3 times the Marvel die, which is 6 damage. So I'm going to mark that on my character sheet. And we'll just mark it at the top here. That's how much damage I've taken. And then I'm going to roll some initiative. We'll roll initiative for Darklaw. Yikes. He got a 7 plus a 4 and 11. Let's roll for Crossbones. And Crossbones actually has an edge. So he got a 10 and plus 2. So yeah, he got more than that. So he is he's really well. He did well. So he Crossbones is definitely going to get to go first. So I'm going to say that Crossbones also has, we'll say 1 to 3 AIM agents with him too. Let's do 1 to 4. 1 to 4 AIM agents. And he's got 1 AIM agent with him. So I think that what happened was they stayed back and set up a little ambush for me. And so as I was driving up the road north of town, I find myself in a hail of bullets, and I jump out of the moving car and do a roll, taking a little bit of damage, maybe scuffing up my my suit a little bit, which will immediately start to heal on my turn because I have a healing factor. And I think Crossbones would yell something about how he is not going to stand idly by while I try to foil his plans. And so Crossbones is going to take his turn, and he gets a move, a standard action, and a reaction. He actually gets an extra reaction if it is based on a ranged attack power. And let's see how far away we are to start this encounter. I'm going to roll a d10, and I'm going to take it times 10 in feet. 10. Okay. So 100 feet away. So this is going to benefit Crossbones and the AIM agent because they have ranged weapons. All I have is some batarangs, which are going to be a very short range weapon. So I can move 25 feet around, but I think Crossbones is wanting to make sure I don't get away too. So I think he's going to actually cover some ground just to make sure I don't kind of bugger off into the woods. But he's going to get like a free round of attacks on me that I don't get to attack him back. Okay, so Crossbones has a lot of different options, and he is going to start off just by making a standard attack because most of his fancy powers have to do with hitting multiple targets or they're closer range types of things. So he's just going to shoot his submachine gun at me, and that is a 10 plus his agility of 5. So he gets a 15. Note that this here is for non-combat checks. The plus 7 is. So he only gets plus 5. So you got a 15. And the 15 is going to be against my defense score of 17. Because my character is a brawler, he gets to use his melee defense against ranged attacks. So in a hail of bullets, Crossbones fires at the Darklaw, but the Darklaw deftly rolls and dodges and makes his way closer, stalking his attacker. And So one thing that I did not do is I didn't roll initiative for the AIM agent. Let's do that. And the AIM agent's going to go before Darklaw 2 because he got a 12 plus 1, a 13. Darklaw only had an 11. So the AIM agent is also going to take aim. He's going to shoot his laser. And maybe this is going to be the type of energy weapon that was in those crates. They built big mass-produced versions of these to outfit an army, which can't be good for what their intentions are. So AIM agent is going to attack, and he gets a 12 plus 1, so he got a 13. So his shot misses a little bit wider than what Crossbones does, but still the hail of fire is definitely not making things easier for the Darklaw. So Darklaw is going to make his way closer to them, and he is going to use the dodge action as he's making his way closer, which is going to give trouble to anyone that takes a ranged attack on him. And they're going to get another ranged attack before he is able to close enough distance to get into combat. So we're going to go to Crossbones again. He's going to fire, still out of range of his fancier moves, but he got a 15 plus 5, got a 19. So he is going to hit, and his Marvel die is a 4, and his damage multiplier for agility attacks is a 5. So he's doing 20 points of damage. One thing I forgot earlier was that Darklaw should have only received 5 instead of 6 damage because he has damage reduction 1 because of his reinforced skeleton. And then also he would have healed 5 last turn for his healing factor. But now he is taking 4, and he would have taken times 5, but since he's got reinforced skeleton, that reduces the multiplier by 1. So Crossbones' damage multiplier for agility attacks is normally a 5. It goes to a 4. So that is 16 damage when you take 4 times 4. So the Darklaw is going to take 16 damage. So then the AIM agent, seeing that Crossbones has connected, drew a bead and fired and ripped into the suit of the Darklaw. The AIM agent's going to try to do likewise. 11 plus 1 is a 12. He misses. Darklaw having rolled out of the way. And you know, I forgot. Crossbones would have had trouble on that last shot, so he should have had to re-roll one of those dice. But he got a 19. I'm going to go ahead and let him have that. So we're going to keep going. And Darklaw has closed the distance now, and he is going to go ahead and heal 5 for his healing factor. He's taken 11 now. And he is going to run up between the 2 enemies, and he is going to use his fast strikes to attack 2 enemies at no cost of focus. I'm assuming they're close enough together to do that. So he got an 8 plus his 7 for his melee score. So he got a 14, which is just enough to hit Crossbones, and it is enough to hit the AIM agent. And he got a 5 on the Marvel die, which is important because that 5 is going to be times his multiplier here. Oh, you know what? I keep forgetting these things. Crossbones I should have added 5 more damage to, because he had a plus 5 for his ability score too. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit rushed here. But back to where we're at now. So I've hit both of them with my fast strikes. Darklaw ran between the 2 and spread his arms open, seemingly just out of reach until his famous claws snicked out of his fingers or his knuckles, and he's got just enough to hit Crossbones and to hit the AIM agent. So 5 times 6 is 30, plus 7 is 37. But then he does half damage because the power only does half to each. So we're going to say that is 19 damage to each. So 19 damage to Crossbones and 19 damage to the AIM agent. So the AIM agent only has 10 hit points. So that claw strike is enough to put him down. He is bleeding profusely and not interested in fighting anymore. Crossbones, however, is still very interested in fighting. And so he is going to go ahead and make a ranged attack. He's going to step back one space and take a ranged attack, hoping to get a double tap. So he is going to attack, and he got an 8, plus 5 is a 13, which is going to be enough to miss. And he is out of melee range, so I can't use my riposte. Otherwise, I could have gotten a free attack on him. So then Darkclaw is going to move back in, and he is going to go ahead and use his combat stance, his attack stance. So that takes his turn, but now until his concentration is broken, his plus 7 to damage is going to be a plus 14. I think that's going to be important. So Crossbones sees the Darkclaw kind of square up and roll back his shoulders and get ready for a long fight with his claws at his side. And in seeing that, he is going to go ahead and jump back and take another shot with his submachine gun. And he got 3 1s. This one on the marble die counts as a 6. So that is an 8 plus 5 is a 13. But that misses. And since you got a 1 on the marble die, that is a fantastic result. So I think the fantastic result here, we should roll in the Mythic Elements table. Okay, action. 99. Usurp. 45. Gratefully. Okay. Gratefully usurp. So I think that what that means is that he keeps missing in this AIM agent that is seeing this combat play out, is starting to question the decision to follow AIM and specifically to follow Crossbones. And so maybe that could be the new ally that that Darkclaw is going to gain out of this. Maybe I've got, Deadpool's got Hydra Bob and I've got AIM Ed. So we'll see. It is now the Darkclaw's turn again. And he is going to go ahead and move back in and make his attack with his claws. And he got a 10 plus a 7 is 17, which is enough to hit. So that is going to be a 4 times his melee multiplier, which is 6. So that's 24 plus 7 is going to be 31 damage. So that puts him at 50. I should have healed twice since the last time I actually did it. So he's down to taking 6 because his healing factor keeps working on those wounds. The wounds just keep closing up in front of the bleeding AIM agent and Crossbones. Crossbones has got to be getting pretty frustrated at this point. And I think that perhaps he is going to look for a way out. And he is going to go ahead and try to use stopping power on Darkclaw. It's going to cost him 5 focus. And he got 14 plus 5, 19. He's going to hit. He didn't get a fantastic result, so it did cost him 5 focus. It didn't do anything extra, just did regular damage. So 20 plus 5, 25 damage. Oh, wait. But we reduce the multiplier by 1 because of the reinforced skeleton. So actually 16, 21 damage. So he's at 27 now. He being Darkclaw is at 27 damage taken. So I think at this point Darkclaw is going to try to use his grappling technique to try to grab and potentially pin Crossbones and get some information out of him. So we're going to go ahead and roll, and I got a 13 plus 7, 20, definitely going to hit. And with grappling technique, you do a grab plus standard damage. So standard damage for Darkclaw is going to be times 6 and plus 7. So 36 plus 7, so 43. So that's actually, that is actually going to be enough to knock out Crossbones or put him out of combat preparedness at least. And so I think what happens is Darkclaw grabs a hold of Crossbones and puts him in a rear naked choke and displays his claws inching up closer and closer to Crossbones' face. And he is going to, the Darkclaw is going to try to interrogate Crossbones to find out what this evil plan by AIM and Hydra is all about. So I'm going to do my interrogation, and I got a fantastic result. So a 1 on the Marvel die counts as a 6 plus something extra. It's like a yes and effect. So I also have an edge because I am an investigator. So I'm going to re-roll this 3 and see if I can get better. Whoops. And I got the same. So 6, 11, 14, plus my logic, 17, plus it's a fantastic result. So I think Crossbones is just going to spill the beans completely here. You know, he's in this for the money, and also they're already long gone. So what could possibly bad come from him going ahead and spilling the beans about what is happening with this evil plan that AIM is acting out right now. And so let's go ahead and roll on, we're going to roll on the character actions combat table to see what AIM has planned. So 22, celebrate, and let's go to location. And 100, warn. Oh, nope, location. Where's location? Welcoming. Celebrate welcoming. We're in New York. I think that they're going to try to do something at Ellis Island. People being welcomed into the country, and they are going to come across an event where maybe Hydra is outfitting an army to take captive all of these folks that are trying to make their way into the United States. And that is how we are going to end this solo session. I would say I'm in control again. So we're going to put our chaos factor down to 3. And then probably going to end up adjusting these threads and characters a little bit after the game is over. But that is a gist of how you can solo the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game.
You're gonna do a superhero landing. Wait for it!
So that was my playthrough of the Marvel Multiverse RPGs.
That's just my game.
That was a solo playthrough. Of course, that's going to be a little bit different than if you play this with a group. With a group, you're going to see more interactions because you've got different heroes that have different abilities. You're going to be able to aid allies. You're going to be able to do team maneuvers. Plus, I used a melee character, so everything was pretty straightforward. He didn't have a lot of fancy powers. Everything was pretty straightforward. But, you know, there are a ton of options in this book. And I think that the 616 system works very well. I think that particularly if you're going to play with younger, newer players, or if you're looking to solo, then the simplicity of this system is going to be a real boon to you. Now, there are going to be expansions coming. There's a Kang adventure. There's an X-Men book coming next year. There's a Spider-Verse book coming next year. So I don't think this is the last we're going to see of this game. And hopefully some of you guys are going to give this a try based on my videos on it. And also, since I started filming this video, that's right, I hit 1,500. So I gained that sub that I needed at the beginning of the video to hit the 1,500 officially. So I made it. And I don't want to go on and on about it, but
We love you, Ron! Yeah, and I love you too.
it is worth saying again, this is really neat that you guys, there's 1,500 of you that have decided that it is worth your time to watch my videos, subscribe to my channel to see what I have to say about games.
I don't get it.
It's kind of crazy. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the comments that you make in the videos. I appreciate that you like a lot of my videos, and you know, I think that it is just really, really awesome that you guys have gotten me to 1,500 subs. And here's to the next 1,500, whenever that may be. So until next time, this has been Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.